It's Taco Tuesday, and my name's CJ Curry. In today's video, we're going to be talking about some NBA picks, of course, looking for some fine options for you to pair with your favorite PrizePicks tacos. If you're new to the channel and haven't subscribed yet, get subscribed now. Totally free to hit the subscribe button. Dropping picks, plays, and parlays each and every day right here on the channel for the free. It's free. Yeah. And while you're down there, subscribing to the channel, make sure that you got all notifications turned on so that as soon as one of these videos gets posted, you guys are alerted by YouTube, because sometimes YouTube doesn't always do a great job of pushing these videos out to you guys. And if you can hit the like button as well, we're going to set today's goal at 349.5. I'm challenging you guys to hit the like button at least 350 times like we have in our previous two videos. You guys have been crushing it, going over 400 likes in each of the last two videos. Now, yesterday we had some very close calls. Some of the ones that ended up going our way barely went our way, and some of the ones that didn't go our way barely did not go our way. It's a game of inches, folks. But we're back on the horse today, and we're looking to ride yesterday's plays. Hopefully you used the protected play entry and you didn't really lose any money on yesterday's slip. But let's go ahead and get into today's PrizePicks options. I got the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer pulled up, and we've got the first taco already on the board here on PrizePicks, which is none other than Anthony Edwards. We've got a rematch tonight of last year's Western Conference Finals, the Minnesota Timberwolves and Dallas Mavericks locking horns tonight on prime time. So Anthony Edwards at 22.5 points. Looks like a pretty nice option for the first taco. He's been kind of quiet this season, but you got to imagine that in a rematch against the Dallas Mavericks, he's going to look to show up and show up big. So that's your first taco option if you want to take it. Let's get that one out of the way. Let's talk about our first pick, which is Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert of the Minnesota Timberwolves, again, taking on Dallas. And we saw yesterday from Walker Kessler what type of damage the bigs can do against this Dallas Mavericks tandem of both Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively. So we're going to look at Rudy Gobert for more than 12.5 points and assists. Again, this one is projecting well. All the picks that I always talk about in these videos, I make sure that they're projecting well across multiple NBA models. So let's start over here on the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer and plug in Rudy Gobert's name. And when we do so, you're going to see that he is the top way to play his props today is going to be the over on the 12.5 points and assists. 52.3% chance that he goes over, collecting at least 13 points plus assists today versus the Dallas Mavericks. So yes, it's a positive expected value play. Yes, you're seeing some juice on some of your sports books like BetMGM and Caesars for him to go over, and so this looks like a fine option for the first play. Let's take a look at some of the projections here, starting with RotoWire. If you guys want to use RotoWire for yourself, got a 2-day all-access free pass down in the description of today's video. You can find links to everything: PrizePicks promo codes, underdog promo codes, better promo codes, and promo codes for sites like RotoWire and the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer. As you can see, when we plug in Rudy Gobert's name on the RotoWire tool for PrizePicks, he is projecting over at 12.5 points plus assists, a whopping 16 PA projection. Again, I don't make these projections myself, so if these don't work out, don't be mad at me. Go yell at RotoWire or somebody, but you know how it goes, guys. There's always gambling involved. None of the projections are ever 100% accurate, but that's why I use multiple projection models to try to find a projection where they all agree, in other words. And so this one, we got a good, strong projection of 16 points plus assists. RotoWire's projections have him over his line of 12.5 by 3.5 points plus assists. Swinging things over here, we're going to be taking a look at Fantasy Labs, another one of my favorite projection models. They've got Rudy Gobert all the way up at 16.4 points plus assists. So two very strong projections for the Stifle Tower. They expect him to have a good game. But we're not going to stop there. We're going to get you one more projection. And for that one, we're going over to a free projection model. If you guys are looking for some free projections, Betting Pros is not a bad option, so go check them out. They've got Rudy Gobert all the way up at 14.8 points plus assists. So this is another great projection on a line of just 12.5, which is why Rudy Gobert is our first play of today's video. Let's go to the second play. I'm looking at BI, Brandon Ingram of the New Orleans Pelicans, who's sitting out there at, 18.5 points? I think this is a little bit too low, especially when you factor in that both DeJounte Murray and Murphy are going to be out for New Orleans. And to flip things over to the Golden State side, no Steph Curry, no DeAnthony Melton or Andrew Wiggins. Sounds like Andrew Wiggins is going to sit as well. So Melton and Wiggins, two very good perimeter defenders. They're going to be out tonight, which leaves Brandon Ingram against the likes of who? I mean, maybe Jonathan Kuminga, but we'll just have to wait and see how that lineup looks for the Golden State Warriors. Anyway, I think this is a situation where Brandon Ingram can bounce back. Last game, he only had 14 against Portland, but you can see in his previous two games, 33 against Chicago, 21 against Portland. This guy is capable of filling it up. So let's hope for a bounce back game today for Brandon Ingram. Now, when we go over to the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer, we're going to plug it in here so we can look at some of the sportsbook data on Brandon Ingram. You're going to see that his points at 18.5, 51.5% chance that he goes over. Now, some of these sportsbooks like FanDuel are starting to bump this guy up to 19.5 points. You got another one here, Bet Online, 19.5 points. And so the sports books are starting to creep up. You're going to see this one get bumped up eventually to 19 or potentially 19.5 points before tip-off later today. So Brandon Ingram looking pretty good. Let's run the projections on Brandon Ingram as well. Going back over to RotoWire, seeing a pretty sharp projection here, 18.27, kind of on the lower side, but that's why we look at multiple projection models. So we're going to go over here to Fantasy Labs and pull them up over there. Now, they love Brandon Ingram. And in case you didn't know, Fantasy Labs is probably my favorite projection model out of all of these, just due to the accuracy. 21.6 projected points on a line of just 18.5. That's more than 3-point differential versus the PrizePicks line. And last but not least, we'll go back over to Betting Pros. And we'll type in Ingram's name over there and get you a projection on Betting Pros as well. They've got him up at 19.5 points. So kind of liking what I'm seeing here on Brandon Ingram and some of these projection sites. So we're going to lean over on the 18.5. Now this next one, I know some of you guys got burned by him last night, but I kind of want to go back. And I'm talking about this guy, Malik Monk, over 13.5 points versus Utah. Now, why do I want to go back to this? Because kind of like Brandon Ingram, we've seen what he could do in previous games, 17 points, 14 points, a little bit of a downer game against Portland last night with 12. So I'm hoping that Malik Monk bounces back and gets over 13.5 points tonight. I always like going back to a prop after they flop. And last night was a flop by Malik Monk's standards. So let's go take a look at where he's at on the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer and see if we see any kind of movement on these lines or books for Malik Monk. His points at 13.5, kind of like Brandon Ingram, 51.5, 51.6% chance that he's going to go over 13.5. As you can see here, though, like Brandon Ingram, FanDuel's already got him up at 14.5. So does some of these other books, like Bet Online, 14.5 points there. So again, you're going to see this guy start to creep up, maybe to 14, maybe to 14.5 by the time it's all said and done here. So let's get in early while the line's still a little weak, a little soft at 13.5. Let's go check the projections on Malik Monk. By now, you guys should already know that if I'm talking about it, it's because it's probably projecting well. And for Malik Monk at 13.5 points, you're getting a nice projection of 14.6. Not too shabby there. Over on Fantasy Labs, we've got Monk projected for even more, 15.6 points for his Fantasy Labs projection, more than 2 points different than PrizePicks. And of course, we're going to go back over to Betting Pros, and we're going to check out Malik Monk over there as well. And when we do so, you see that a very healthy projection is up on the board of 16.4 points, according to the folks over at Betting Pros. And so 3 different projections. All 3 have Malik Monk going over. Let's hope tonight he's filling it up, unlike last night. Those are your first 3 picks. Guys, I'm going to keep harping on this because we're posting more picks than we can fit into a YouTube video over on my Dub Club. What you do is you join Dub Club. You join the Eyes on the Prize Discord, you connect the two, and boom, you instantly get access to a bunch of private VIP channels in our Discord community where myself and others are sending out their favorite picks, plays, and parlays, and other helpful stats and information to help you win more together. So if that sounds like something you're into, if you're looking for a home, a group of people who can help you win more, go down to the comment section or the description of this video, click that link for a 7-day free trial, and I will see you on the inside. back to the picks we go. Got 3 more we got to talk about here. Let's talk about this guy. He's more of a role player, but we don't need a whole lot out of him tonight. We're not expecting him to score. We're not asking for buckets, but we are asking for some rebounds plus assists for Daniel Theis, who is the starting center/forward for the New Orleans Pelicans. And if he isn't starting, he'll be coming off of the bench and getting significant minutes in a backup role against a Golden State Warriors team that is less than 100% tonight. So hopefully Daniel Theis is doing the Lord's work and getting on the glass. He's come really close in most of the games in which he has played this season, recording 5, 10, and 5 rebounds and assists. So he's hit in 1 out of 3 games. But again, coming off of a little bit of a downer game, maybe tonight he gets back on track and records at least 6 or more rebounds and assists. Let's go over to the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer to see what things are looking like for Theis on these sports books. As you can see, the top way to play Daniel Theis on a small NBA slate, we got to play guys like Daniel Theis. Unfortunately, we got to take the value where we could find it. 52% chance that he clears the 5.5 rebounds and assists. You're already seeing some line movement, some juice coming in on BetMGM and Caesars and some of these other sites for the overs. So we're going to be taking a shot on Daniel Theis to go over tonight at 5.5 rebounds and assists. Pulling up the projections for you, gang. A lot of overs or leaning more options on RotoWire. So if you don't like the rebounds and assists, you could go points, you could go PRA, you could go points and rebounds. I mean, shoot, you can go with anything you want here. But let's talk about the rebounds and assists projection, which is at 6.24, putting him over 5.5 by just a little bit. Not a lot, baby girl, just a little bit. And then we're going to go over here to Fantasy Labs and punch in his projection there. Now, this one's a little healthier, 6.5 on a line of 5.5. A whole rebound and assist higher than where he's currently sitting right now on PrizePicks. And then last but not least, back to Betting Pros. Let's see if they've got a projection for Daniel Theis and his rebounds and assists. Doesn't look like it. They've got his points going over, his points and rebounds going over, and his points, rebounds, and assists going over. So 3 different ways you could play Theis. I don't see the rebounds and assists on here. That doesn't mean that it's projecting under or that it's necessarily a bad play or anything. It's just not available. So anyway, Daniel Theis, a lot of different ways you could go on him tonight. Michael Porter Jr., we're going to stick with the rebound and assist category. Michael Porter Jr. coming off of a back-to-back. This is the second half of a back-to-back for him. We're looking at going less on his 8.5 rebounds and assists, taking on the Brooklyn Nets tonight. Back to the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer we go. This is really just rinse and repeat. I like showing my work, though, rather than just like telling you guys. I like to show you. I could show you better than I could tell you. Anyway, 52.7% chance that he stays under 8.5 rebounds and assists. Just like Theis, you're seeing some action here on these different books, BetMGM, Caesars. The juice is favoring the under here on Michael Porter Jr. So this would be an option for the under if you're looking to take a Michael Porter Jr. prop. Now, let's go take out some of these projections, starting with this first one, which is going to be over on RotoWire. Pretty like low projection here, 8.59. Now, it's important to remember that these projections typically skew toward the over. So when you see a projection of 8.59, you really have to shave about 10 to 20% off of that projection. And when you do so, that would put him under the 8.5 marker. So always remember that. If you're using projection sites, take about 10 to 20% off of whatever it's projecting. And if we do that in this case, that would put him under 8.5, closer to 8 rebounds and assists against Brooklyn tonight. Checking out another projection here for Michael Porter Jr., 7.6. This one's on Fantasy Labs, putting him well under that number of 9. If he has 9 or more rebounds and assists, we're cooked. Hopefully he stays at 8 or fewer. This projection has him at 7.6, closer to 8 than 7. All right, last projection. We're going to go back over here to Betting Pros. Betting Pros has Michael Porter Jr., again, down there at around 8.6. But if we shave off about 10 to 20% off of that, again, that puts him under the 8.5 rebound and assist number. So again, important that you keep that in mind, that, you know, if the projection says 8.6, that really means it's more like 8.4, 8.3, kind of shading toward the under in this case. And so we will shade toward the under, lead toward the under on Michael Porter Jr. And look at that. They just bumped Malik Monk from 13.5 points to 14.5. So probably want to leave that one alone, unless you could find it at 13.5 on another book or another site. Last pick before they start bumping other crap. Let's go PJ Washington of the Dallas Mavericks. sitting out there at 15.5 points, rebounds, and assists. When we pop open his player card, he's gone over this number in 2 out of 3 games this season. 18, 11, and 25 last night against Utah. He had some pretty good games against Minnesota in their series from the playoffs last season. Not sure how that really equates or impacts what he's going to do tonight, but he is projecting over 15.5 on most projection sites that I looked at. So let's take a look at where he is at here over on the Daily Grind Fantasy Optimizer. According to the sports books, the top way to play PJ Washington would be the over on his 15.5 PRA. Minus 130 betting favorite on a very sharp sports book like Pinnacle. And then these other sports books here, BetMGM, Caesars, BetOnline, they all have the juice going over on PJ Washington. So they expect him to have 16 or more points, rebounds, and assists. So about a 53% chance. So if you think about it this way, say you were to flip a weighted coin 100 times, 53 times it's going to land the way that we want it to land on the over. And 47 times it's going to land the other way on the under. So not much of a difference, not much of an edge, but that little 3% will add up over the long run. So we got to take advantage of it when we can. Now, as far as projections go, this one is projecting very, very well here. Of course, you know, with all the projections, they're not always 100% right. If so, then PrizePicks would probably be out of business because these projection sites would just be robbing them each and every day consistently. But anyway, huge projection over here on RotoWire of 20.4 projected points, rebounds, and assists. Again, the line is just 15.5, gang. 15.5 versus 20.4, a big differential or gap in those projections. Back over to our other site here, which is going to be Fantasy Lab, 16.8 versus 15.5. Even if you shave 10 to 20% off of this, he's still projected to go over 15.5 points, rebounds, and assists. So things looking pretty good there for PJ Washington. And then, of course, last but not least, I'm going to bless you guys with the Betting Pros projection for PJ Washington. And you might have guessed it by now. He is projected to go over by quite a bit. 19.1 is the projection on Betting Pros versus a line of just 15.5 on PrizePicks. Sign me up for some PJ Washington over 15.5. But those are all the plays that I have today. Kind of a tough slate with there only being 4 games. I think 4 games, right? Kind of limited options, so you may not want to go too crazy. I think my strategy for today is going to be trying to find some good pairs for these Taco Tuesday discounts that they'll be pushing out to us all day long. It's a good day to try to build some bankroll up by playing some 2-pick power plays using these tacos. And so hopefully the picks that we just talked about in today's video end up working out if you do decide to pair them up with your favorite Taco Tuesday discounts. My name's CJ. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you in another video real soon. Peace.